It's funny. I get asked to like tell my story, and I was listening to a podcast recently. I think it was Mark Maron. He was interviewing Darren Aronofsky, the filmmaker,
Okay.
and they were talking about Hugh Selby Jr., who's the author who wrote Requiem for a Dream. He was kind of this amazing human being who was very active in the recovery community here in Los Angeles. He's somebody that I knew kind of at arm's length. I didn't really know him. But it's somebody that Darren had gotten to know very well in the process of making that movie, Requiem for a Dream. And at his nickname was Cubby. At Cubby's funeral, Darren was asked to get up and give a speech. And Darren said, "I'll get up and I want to tell this one story, but then I'm never going to tell it again because it's my opinion that every time you tell a story, it becomes a little bit less true."
Mm.
And I think about that a lot, as somebody who's asked to tell my story and as somebody who is a firm believer in owning your story and sharing it as a way to empower and inspire other people, and someone who believes that everybody has a story worth telling. It's made me rethink how I tell my own story. Like, how much of this I've told it so many times. Like, is it even true? Like, what parts of this am I just like, sort of reiterating because I've done it a million times, rather than really connecting with, in an honest way with the reality of it. So that's my whole mental masturbation as a preface to actually answering your question. But
That's fascinating.
yeah, what can I say? I mean, I grew up in the Washington D.C. area by two loving parents who met all of my needs. I didn't grow up in a broken household. I didn't suffer any kind of crazy trauma growing up. There wasn't any abuse or addiction issues in my upbringing. But I was a kid who very early on felt like I was different from everyone else. I felt apart from. I felt insecure. I was very much a loner. I kind of proceeded through life on this idea that everybody else kind of knew what was going on and I didn't, and I was faking it. And I had a lot of trouble making friends. I really struggled with that, and I was awkward. I was uncoordinated. I have a lazy eye. I'm kind of cross-eyed, so I looked weird as a kid. I had to wear a patch on my eye, to wear headgear.
You had to wear an actual patch?
Yeah, I'd wear a patch over my strong eye. The idea was to like strengthen my weak eye.
Ah.
And I had headgear orthodontia. Like, I was not a vision for you, right? And I'm not a coordinated kid. Like, so on the playground, I'm hopeless with any kind of sports that involve a ball and eye-hand coordination, like to this day. So, I had a really hard time as a kid, and I struggled academically. And it wasn't until I found the sport of swimming that I really kind of found my groove. It was like the one thing that I stumbled into that I had a natural talent for, an inclination for, and because I was good at it kind of naturally, it's what you do. Like, you gravitate towards the things that you're good at, that you're being rewarded in. And I doubled down in that area. And I got, by the time I was a senior in high school, I was a pretty good swimmer. I was being recruited at all these colleges all over the country. And I had figured out how to excel academically. I was like a straight A student. I got into every college I applied to. I was getting,
Wow.
Courted by some pretty great schools to go and join their swim team. The point being in all of that, I was somebody who had a tremendous amount of promise and potential as a young person, and then ultimately ended up squandering that as a result of suffering from, an acute case of alcoholism that kind of stripped me of anything aspirational in my life, and really narrowed my focus solely on when am I going to get drunk, where's my next good time, where's the party at, and just following that thread. So I went from somebody who was a nationally ranked swimmer, went to Stanford University, competed on 2 NCAA Division I swimming schools with the best athletes in the world at this incredible academic institution, and literally just kind of sleptwalked my way through it. Never achieved my athletic potential. By the time I was a senior, I was just all about partying, and I didn't care about grades or anything like that. And that was kind of the seeds were planted for what would become full-blown alcoholism later in life. And what I didn't realize until I got sober is that, alcohol wasn't my problem. It was the solution to my problem. I was somebody who just felt not comfortable in my own skin, and alcohol solved that for me. And it worked for a long time until it stopped working. And then my life started to fall apart. DUIs, car crashes, just, basically becoming a degenerate who was untrustworthy, couldn't tell the truth, couldn't show up for other people, on the precipice of getting fired from my law firm job. I was a working lawyer at the time, alienated from my friends and my family, until I kind of at the very end was just this pathetic human being, kind of this cretin drunk, garden variety drunk. And my drunkalog isn't anything crazy and fantastic. It's just sort of sad and not romantic at all. And ultimately at 31, I reached that point that